Hello and welcome to Beyond the Lines. My name is Sarah, I'm the artist behind Pinselgeschichten, and in this particular show here I talk about colors. Now there's people that intuitively grasp a pencil or, I don't know, an acrylic paint tube or something and work with that color, and then there's other people that might need a bit of support there on what colors go together well and how you can achieve certain effects when choosing certain colors. This is the show, like I said, where I tell you how I go about it. I'm one of the intuitive people, but there's reason to it. There's a pattern, there's science to it. And I'm sharing my knowledge and all I have accumulated over the last, so many years of artwork. I'm going to share it with you here. With that, I'm taking the help of coloring books because I enjoy coloring, and lucky for me, the industry has discovered that adults do color a lot and like it a lot, so they produce lots of very cool artworks they publish the works of very cool artists. Today I'm working in the book that is called The Magical City, and a lovely lady named Lizzie Marie Collin put this work together, and it has been published. Yay! So today I'm going to work on this particular page, and this is scary, I know, but don't worry. You can work with pretty much any medium in your coloring book. You just have to know a few things about that, and you can test new media in your coloring books as well if you're not 100% sure how they work and you just need some guidance there. So today I'm coloring the shard. This is a very whimsical picture of it, and I'm taking care of the inner part today with Inktense pencils. So let's put some color down, right? Alright folks, like I said in the intro, I'm working in the Magical City today. And I'm gonna work on this particular page here. It's the Shard, which is this building here, and it stands in London. Now I need my cardstock behind this particular page, and I am going to choose the Inktense pencils that I want to work with. In the last piece that I did for this show, the Outlander page, I also used those pencils, and you've seen there how quick I can make a base coat. Now today I'm not base coating, I'm working only with Inktense to color, and I'm gonna have a tiny bit of a popping thing going on later with another supply, either today or in another video. It depends on how fast I am with coloring those. But I'm not gonna have colored pencil on top with this one, and I do have some seeping through or something. I don't know where this comes from. But I'm gonna cover it up. So this page here is quite the swirly page, and you have to figure out things first, like where goes what, for example. Now I would need something for the sky, something for the shard. I think this is a tree, and some other colors for that building here. So let's go with the shard first. It's a glass building, so I need glass color. I definitely want a 840, which is the iron blue. I want that one for the shard. Do I want something lighter? Yes, I do. The 900, which is iris blue. these two, I want these two for the shard with a bit of deep indigo. So these 3 tones, light, medium, dark, I want that to go like this. I know I'm saying things now and it's really difficult to, well, see where they are, but instead of choosing all the colors now and then working all in one go, what I'm going to do here is I go house by house or section by section to color. And what I want to show you is that even with those very abstract, wild kind of paintings, you can either hype the swirly thing going on and make it really go crazy and wild, or not. You can actually calm it down by disregarding some of the lines. Same goes, for example, for what I think to be a tree here. You don't have to go with all of the patterns in coloring books. This is something that people sometimes forget, that you decide what you want colored how. And though this is a very whimsical coloring book here, and the way the line work is done, it's definitely not realism, not even close, and it's not supposed to be. The line work is curvy, which implies whimsical again. So I'm rolling with that, but still I can add some realism by not coloring every field of, especially the skies and stuff, differently. So I'm going with from light to dark here. Just add, if you never worked with Inktense, let me tell you one thing. You don't have to have a solid layer and for this medium to cover everything when you liquefy stuff. Don't need that. You don't need to have something like this going on. This pigment here will color pretty much the whole way down there. I just have to add a bit of pigment where I want it to go. You can, this is like a watercolor pencil. You can leave it dry or not. I like to not leave it dry. So I'm just putting the pigments where I need them to go very roughly, and then I'm liquefying the pigment with a brush, and thereby can have light and shadow going on. And the last thing that I'm gonna add for the very deeps here is the deep indigo. Now this is almost like a circle that goes round, and I don't mind going over the lines because I'm having something planned. I'm gonna use quite a bit of black in the end to color the rest of the page and make this circle of scenery pop. This is what I want to show you today, that you can make things look way more colorful and interesting by having a black background or another solid color that is maybe more on the darker side of things, so a dark blue, dark brown, stuff like that. So I got the indigo down. Maybe I need a bit more of a light blue here, where maybe the light would hit if there would be any light. Alright, and now, haha, for the interesting part. And I need maybe a bit of light blue on this one as well. Just a tiny bit. This looks really scary, doesn't it? Don't worry. We're all gonna make it work. I need a watercolor brush. I'm having some. And I'm using the tinier one for the top and the medium one for the lower parts. And now I'm just gonna liquefy what I have put down. just gonna pull the pigment where it needs to go. I just need a damp brush, not a super wet brush, to make this work. Now I can pull in colors, see? And this is why I don't need anything to be solidly colored before I add the water. Now with the Inktense you have to move rather quick, because once they settle, they're set. You cannot reactivate things like here, see? If I wouldn't have wanted that particular line there or brush stroke there, I would have had to work non-stop on it rather than changing brushes, which I just did. I just moved to the bigger brush just to cover more space in one go. We get to the reflection lighter part again. So more water, less pigment. Quickly have to change to the other brush for the part here on top. And I keep you zoomed out for now for a reason, because I want you to see the bigger picture and be able to see that you can really tackle the biggest subject of your page first and still have everything work together in the end. Or sometimes you want to maybe start with the smaller things to not be as intimidated, and it doesn't matter what you start with. You just have to be consistent and do it. Ta-da! That's the shard. Now I'm going to move on to another piece. That doesn't mean that I'm not going to shade maybe anymore on the shard. I might, but not for now. I want to have the next big blob colored so that it's not as intimidating with a lot of white space. I talked about that in an earlier video, that I think you could really remedy the white page scary feeling with Inktense in your coloring book or on a drawing or whatever. Because, yeah, you can really get some coverage done there rather quickly. So, have the cold tone there. This is in the foreground, so I want a warmer tone for this particular tree. I'm looking at my color sheet here. I want the 1510 for the darks and the 1530 for the lights. I'm just gonna cover the whole thing now. And disregard the pattern. This is quite a big space of white to cover the whole tree, so I'm pulling in more green pigment just to make sure that I have enough pigment put down before I color. So with this blob here, I don't need to have a fine brush tip. I can go with the bigger one. Just liquefying pigment there. Pulling it into the areas that I do not have colored or covered with pigment yet. And you can see a bit of a bleed through from the red from the other side, but I don't mind, since I'm gonna add a bit more. This is for now just the base layer. I will probably add darker tones of green to that in the end. By the way, I also had intense pencils on the other side. I'm going to show you that page once we're done with this one here. What do I want to have next? I'm going to have a grayish blue background, because there's dark blobs here that I do interpret as stars. So probably gonna have a night scene, much like on this page here that I had before. So I'm gonna have a dark background, or darker background, like a cloudy day in Britain. So I need a bit of I do have a blue, I do have a green, I'm gonna have grays in the background and whites. So I do need a bit of a yellow and a red. So there's construction going on, and they do have a yellowish tint, at least in Germany. And I'm now just gonna give the same tint to the Brits. They're gonna have the same color, so I'm gonna have a mustard yellow for those crane building construction suckers here. I don't need much pigment, just a tiny bit. Let's liquefy that with the smaller brush. And I don't mind that I go over those lines. I'm going to have very dark blues and grays going on there anyway, so I don't care. Just care maybe a bit more here, where I do have a space behind the crane that I do think has more of a white cloudy thing going on, so I'm a bit more careful here. But that's it for now. And now I need a bit more gray and red maybe. We are in London, so we need a bit of the English brick going on, which would be something like this tone here. Do I want this tone there? Maybe not. Maybe I'm going a bit darker with 1930, which is dark chocolate. Do I go with the English brick or with a madder brown red oxide? I'm gonna go with this tone, which is a madder brown. It has a red tint, but it's not like the brick wall red. So let's start with a lighter tone. Going about it like this. I'm gonna add, this is the lighter tone, so I'm going to add a bit of indigo with this one here. Just to, well, have color repetition for one, and changing things up second, you know, just adding a bit of that, but having the red come from the top. Again, not a very fiddly kind of thing going on, so I can go with a bigger brush and liquefy that. There we go. That's an interesting color. I'm gonna take the same. No, I'm gonna take the darker red that I had. So the dark chocolate, actually, they call it the brown. I would say it's a very dark brownish red. Going about it with this building here. And since it is behind this one here, I can get away with using quite a bit of indigo on it. So this is the super darks. I'm leaving that white and I'm going to pull the pigment there. You can see what it does as an effect. See? There. Makes for a nice effect, doesn't it? Now, I want the browns for the chimney. So, let's go for the chimney. This is the lighter tone. Oh gosh. This is really the difficult thing with those swirly, whimsical pages here. It sometimes is a bit difficult to see where things go, but then you just make them up. You decide where something has a shadow or a light or where a color goes, and just be confident with it. Don't need to be super accurate a lot of the times, but sometimes you need to be. And I'm introducing the indigo again for that shaded part here. Very solid space, and I'm gonna pull the pigment. So first with the smaller brush for the chimney. And then with the bigger brush, oh, that is the biggest brush, I don't want that one. This one. The bigger brush for the rest here. And once this is dry, I can layer on top. That's a nice thing about the Inktense. And if you just work with damp brushes rather than the super wet brushes that flood your page, then you can actually get away with quite a bit of layering with the Inktense. Just gotta make sure that your paper doesn't pill too much. All right, it's enough. I need a bit more of that yellow to counteract all the redness and blueness going on. So let's just put down the mustard here. That should be enough. Just give it a solid layer. Pulling pigment, you have light, you have dark, and you color pretty big spaces within a minute there. Ta-da! I'm gonna let this dry and take care of the background, and then I'm gonna come back to the buildings and shade them a bit more. But for now, it's time to color the background. I'm going to use let me peek. I like the sky on the older painting quite a bit. Yeah, figured. Okay, I'm gonna use 2110, which is in Payne's Gray, which has a bluish tint and is lighter than this one. And I'm gonna use this one here, which is Charcoal Gray. And that is what I'm gonna color all of the swirls with. Not those cloudy things here and not the dots. I'm not gonna bother and color the dots black, not black, yellow, like I did in the other night painting. But I'm gonna have them white and have color repetition like that. So let's have the Payne's gray go on like this. No, that's the same pattern. There we go, new pattern. Charcoal. This might really be a oh my gosh moment for your brain, but don't worry. You can, like I said, section off bigger chunks and everything's fine. So I just put down a bit of Payne's gray for the whole swirl. Gonna put down the same here. I don't care about the small blobs. That's what I'm gonna take care of later. Now this is Payne's gray, Payne's gray, Payne's gray, because it's all one swirl. The other swirl would be charcoal. Also gonna have charcoal here next to that. So I'm just pretty much switching colors back and forth for those swirlies. And I'm leaving white space for the color to be dragged into. I don't need solid layers, like I said. I'll leave quite a bit of space here for the pigment to move. And I have Payne's gray here. This particular swirly, leaving the white there. You get the hang of it where to put something. You don't need to see every line as a tiny little thing. You can definitely see items, especially on coloring pages that are more whimsical, in bigger chunks. Like, for example, this swirly here is a bigger chunk. I'm just gonna put some pigment down and it's gonna color until here. So the next thing I have to take care of is the swirly bit and another swirly bit. That's also swirly, swirly. That little bit of pigment has to cover the whole swirl. Same goes here, has to cover. And now I can add the charcoal ink, the respective other pigment, to the background and separate the two layers like that. It really looks wild, I know, but trust me, we're gonna get there. Righto. More pigment here. More pigment here. All right, let's liquefy. And again, like I said, I can always put things on top, so I don't. It's not scary for me to. Oh no, let's take the smaller brush. It's not scary for me to work on pieces. I don't need to have to have everything down in like one go. I can layer also with only Inktense for this particular piece to be colored. And I'm just liquefying pigment here again. And I can go over the stars or color blobs there. I'm gonna find them later and get them some white pigment. But I usually like to do that with permanent markers rather than with Inktense, for example. Okie dokie, so the background is done. Now I can work on those cloudy things. And for that, I do want a tiny bit of indigo, a color that I already used in the shard and others. And I'm just going around some of the edges. And I'm pretty much just having a line there. That's enough. I still want to have a lot of white space. But I want to have a tiny bit of pigment put down as well. Hence, I'm putting blue lines around the edges. And I'm not really pulling in the pigment, I'm just liquefying. And let the pigment go where it goes, just like it actually works with clouds. They have shapes in the craziest forms because of physics. Nothing that us humans could very much, what's the word? Influence. So, one other thing before I forget it, 20 charcoal gray. Okay, I have to have a tiny bit of black down here and pull that into the mustard yellow. Alright, and I'm gonna go around the whole page in the same fashion now and color the clouds. There's my indigo, there's my indigo. And it's just easier for me to go like this. So I'm gonna turn the book for the time being that I color the clouds. Alright, so the sky is done. Now I can go back to the buildings and shade those. What do I want to shade them with? I think I definitely I want to go with the charcoal gray for this house here and for the shard. Just to add some ouch bones. Dark shades. Probably will just have the blue, the indigo, for the tree. Use the rest. Use the black. Okay, let's see. Let's start with this part here. Oh, yeah, like that. With the yellow here, I have to be a bit more careful not to darken it too much, but still have contrast and depth going on. Alrighto. Now I need the indigo for the tree. So let's darken from the bottom. Now I'm going with a pattern here, so those lines, but just the vertical ones. And a tiny bit, liquefy that. And I'm pulling a bit of the indigo, especially on the bottom section, towards the middle part of those, I don't know what they're called. Those line things. That's a word, folks. I'm very sure. Alright. That's better. Alright, where's the yellow mustard? Need a bit more of that particular tone. Just a tiny bit. And then I can already call it colored. Now this looks quite tired now, right? It's not a lot of pep with that coloring and everything. It's like, you know? But I'm gonna show you a trick that makes this really pop. Now I have to look at the time and see if I do it in this video or the next one. No, I'm gonna do it in the next one. So next week, I'm gonna show you how to make this pop and finish this piece off. Thank you very much for watching. If you have any questions or comments, please leave them in the comment section below. Also, if you feel so inclined, give this video a thumbs up. I would very much appreciate that. Share it with a friend or subscribe to the channel if you're new. I'm going to see you next week, and have a lovely day, folks. Bye.